to a well-designed business. My name is LuAnn Nigara, and I'm so glad you found this podcast. Together with my husband Vince and our partner Bill, we have grown our company WindowWorks from the ground up. So I know and I understand the challenges you face in running your interior design business. I also know that your talent alone isn't enough to ensure your success. So on this podcast, we talk about strategies and practical steps to help you grow your business. But make no mistake about it, we have our share of fun here too, mixed in with those aha moments that I love so much. This isn't fluff. Nobody has time for that. Whether you are a new interior designer or a seasoned designer, I am here to help you create and to manage the kind of interior design firm that you dream of. It's straight talk and it's action. Are you ready? Let's get started. Hi, Vita. Thank you so much for joining me on WTF Window Treatment Friday.
Hello, LuAnn. It's so great to be here.
You can't even take me seriously, right?
Love
You're
our
like,
little acronym. Just love it.
I heard you. You're like, I can't even take this woman seriously right now. Yeah, right? So we're so pleased with ourselves and our little acronym. But I mean, it makes total sense, Vita. We have Power Talk Friday, PTF, and Window Treatment Friday, WTF. We came up with this in a little brainstorming session, and we're very tickled with ourselves, aren't we?
Who hasn't said a WTF as it relates to window treatments at least one time in their lifetime, right?
That is the actual thing that nailed it in the coffin with the name. It's so true because window treatments are complicated and there's a lot of that flying around on a window treatment project. So I love it. Anyway, so here's the thing. We find ourselves here, Vita, together because many times over the last 3.5 years of the podcast, designers have reached out to me and they've said, I really wish you would share some of your expertise with window treatments on the show. And the truth is that until meeting and really becoming great friends with you over the last couple of years, I did not see the way to do it. And I really didn't see the way that I could do it that I would find enjoyable, quite frankly. Let's be real. It's all about me. No,
I'm so glad to be that partner to make it that much more enjoyable.
It is.
That warms my heart. Thank you.
It's the truth. It was like, wait a second. I could do this with Vita. And the thing is, and then what I have said to designers over the last several years is that there are valuable resources out there. We have the WCAA, the Window Coverings Association of America, which both you and I are members of. We have Exciting Windows, which is a resource for designers and for window treatment professionals. We have ASID itself, which has education on it. And of course, we have Window Fashion Vision magazine, where, every single, every other month, there's a full magazine devoted to the nuances and the business of window treatments. And of course, in the last
Expo.
Yeah, and we have the IWCE Expo where we gather every single year, and there's, classes and courses and seminars and, displays and vendors and everything else. So there has been a place where I've been able to say to designers, please go here to learn more. But I also understand that at least the designers that have reached out to me are looking for that little nuance, not necessarily the formal course on Roman shades, but maybe the top view items that as a designer they need to know, right? They don't need to know how to sew a Roman shade. I don't even know how to sew a Roman shade. Let's be serious. That hasn't stopped me.
Right. And that's truly part of the other part of the why we're doing it. The designers are asking for it, but also nothing exactly like this exists in the industry. And even though, like you said, there's all these other organizations and there's conferences and expos and there's courses, but there's not a specific podcast or even like a 30-minute bite-size kind of in and out, quick injection of just the right kind of information specifically targeted to interior designers, where we don't necessarily talk about how to fold a double side hem and how to hand sew a corner of the drapery and exactly how many stitches does it take to take a pleat. I mean, there's definitely a place for that for sure. Don't get me wrong, mostly for workrooms and people who sew. But our goal here, LuAnn, is to provide our designers with just the right kind of information and just enough information so that they can feel just a little bit more confident in the world of window treatments.
Exactly. And I want to take a moment here to mention our friend Seal, who does have the podcast So Much More, which is the place, right, Vita, to go if you are somebody that is a workroom and you want to collaborate with other workrooms and get that level and that nuance and that additional detail. But to your point, we're talking to interior designers who want to add the window treatment as a ladder of services and want to have a little bit better feet on the ground in the context of the different conversations that they will have with their clients and, of course, with the window treatment professional that they select to be their window treatment partner, right?
That's right. And so what we're here to do is to give you content-driven education, unbiased, truthful, open, where we want to inspire experienced designers, actually rather educate, I should say, in your words, baby designers who maybe have never done window treatments before. We want to inspire some of the experienced designers to gain more confidence. And of course, there's a whole third layer of designers, let's call them seasoned designers. We want to give them just that extra tidbit that will help them in their next project.
Exactly. And so the point of the matter is, if you're entering and you are a baby designer, that we both want you to know that window treatments is a ladder of service that can significantly improve your bottom line, that you can add a great deal of profit to your business by including window treatments in what you recommend and what you sell to your clients. And of course, an experienced and a seasoned designer probably knows this already, but maybe is just searching for that little extra ability to have some layer of nuance of understanding so that they can confidently, so how about specifying motorized treatments or more complicated treatments, just to have a little bit more language and a little bit more background information on it, so that when you're boots on the ground facing your client and you are so experienced and good at what you do and understand how you're going to, specify molding and you're going to specify your kitchen cabinetry and all that stuff. You don't want to feel like if you open up the discussion about window treatments that you're not talking with authority. And so it's this sort of thing where we just want to have these bite-sized episodes where you can talk with some authority. You're still going to need to reach out to a window treatment professional to access it, but you can open the door and not feel uncomfortable, right? And the thing is, why is this, Vita, that we need to, and we know that we need to share some of this information because, they don't teach window treatments in school, in interior design school or any other school, do they?
Unfortunately, I'm still, like, my mind, it does not really comprehend it. It hasn't been able to wrap that information around. Like, I just plain don't understand. I mean, there's so much education. It's such amazing programs within the window treatment field, but very little within these programs is dedicated specifically to window treatments. Whereas window treatments make up such a huge portion of the project on many levels, but unfortunately they are not taught. So
no.
That is
well,
just
and when you think about it, think about all the things that a designer, if they go, even if they, there's 2-year programs or certificate programs, but even consider a 4-year program for an interior designer. Window treatments would be a 4-year program if anybody were ever going to teach it. I'm sorry. There'd be no time for CAD and floor planning and anything else. I don't know if I could teach it to somebody in less than 8 semesters.
Years. I still feel like I'm going through the program.
Right. It sort of is. There are things. And again, I just go back to the IWCE. Honest to God, the IWCE, every single year, International Window Covering Expo, this year in 2020, it's going to be in Charlotte in March. And there is 2.5 full days of classes on selling window treatments and also making them. If that's where the IWC addresses both ends of our industry. You can be like me and Vita, where we sell them, but you could also be like Seal and Julie, our other colleagues
Susan
that make
Woodcock.
them. Yes, the people that make them. And so there's information there. But short of that, I think we both really agree that a design. I personally don't need the level of knowledge on how to sew, so I know a designer doesn't need the level of knowledge on how to sew. You need to know how to talk about it. You need to know how to sell it. You need to know how to specify it and communicate your vision to a window treatment professional so that it can be executed. So, and they don't have school for this. So we're going to try and help you out with a little bit about that. And, we know that the two of us, we could make a show, right, Vita, about the mistakes that we've made in window treatments.
Oh, my. Can we?
You know what I have on my About You page on WindowWorks? An expert is someone that's made every mistake in their field. Well, I have expert status as a window treatment professional. I'm here to tell you.
I feel like I have an MBA in mistakes on window treatments.
Yeah, because it is
But I'm always
complicated.
reminded by my daughter's words, who is just graduating kindergarten. She's 6, and she tells me all the time, mistakes are part of learning. So that's what I hold dear and it's in my heart. It's okay. That's just part of the business.
That's the truth. Well, and I always say in the show too, if you don't want to make a mistake today, you better stay in bed because that's the only safe place.
That's right. That's right.
So, but that's it. They're expensive though, the mistakes.
Is that I think where we're going with this is the unfortunate part of it is that in window treatments, mistakes are costly. They just are, because window treatments, they're custom and they are costly. And so if you make a mistake, you have to eat it. And what has a lot of times, I think, happened, at least in my experience in interacting with designers, is that they have made a costly mistake in the past and they just sort of shut down. They say, never again. I'm not going to do window treatments. This has costed me thousands of dollars. It has costed me my reputation. It has costed me maybe my relationship with the client or installer or whoever else. And I just don't want to go down that path again. Right. And that is just so unfortunate. And if that is you listening and saying, yes, that has happened to me, it is my hope and my goal to reverse that and bring you back into the fold of window treatment.
It's the truth. And the truth of the matter is that if you're working with an honorable window treatment professional, the mistake ultimately lies now with the window treatment professional. And that's sort of what we're suggesting, is that by doing this series, we want to give you the confidence to have these conversations, to feel good about being able to hire a window treatment professional, but knowing that it's up to them to have your back and to make the recommendations and to know that something can technically be done, because it is doing the window treatments yourself that is even scarier, and that is where your money is on the line. So, but this is the thing, it's a learning curve. There is no school of window treatments, and together, if you access if you access your vendors and you access your resources, there is no reason to walk away from this money, even though they are ridiculously complicated. You would never not specify a kitchen because you didn't understand how to hook up the plumbing and how to get the electrical to work so that there's lights, right?
That's a really good parallel. I like that. Yes,
right?
I love it.
Right. But you want to have a working knowledge of the language in designing and building a kitchen. You want to have enough know-how so that you can have an intelligent conversation with the cabinet installer and the fabricators so that you can be part of the conversation and that you know that the kitchen is ultimately going to be to your vision. And that's our goal here too, right? So, I mean, that's where we're at.
And LuAnn, you have what, like 40 years of experience with WindowWorks?
Almost.
Is that right?
It's like 37. Vita, don't push it.
And I have, a third of that, but still a nice little chunk of almost 15 years doing it. So between the two of us, whatever that math works out, that is escaping me at this very moment. But, we're here to share all of that experience, of which mistakes, of course, is a part. We're also here to share our lessons, because what are the mistakes if you don't learn a lesson from it? We're here to show some of the bad days that we have. And
right.
Let's just be real and honest. Sometimes they're bad days, but we're also here to share some of our wins and some of our great days, and just be truthful and real and open, and just have this great conversation, so that at the end of all of this, you feel inspired, encouraged, educated, more knowledgeable, and ultimately just a little bit more confident. With every episode, just a little bit more confident.
Exactly. And so if we talk about, brass tacks here, Vita, there are cons and pros of adding window treatments to your ladder of services as an interior designer, right? So, they're complicated and they're expensive. And, you don't get to try it out and see if it looks good and then say, never mind.
You know what? That has always been my biggest pet peeve. I mean, I have to tell you, when I first started, and I was just like, oh my God, like, how is it that you go into a room, you look at a blank window and probably a blank wall with all sorts of obstructions, and you take all these measurements and you try to figure it all out, but then you have to go back to your shop or your workroom or wherever you get them ordered or made, and then 6 to 8 weeks later you come back and it's supposed to fit. I'm like, WTF.
That's the name of the show, folks.
I had to insert that in. But seriously, it's like when you make a wedding dress, my gosh, a wedding dress is oftentimes, I feel like, less than a custom window treatment. But even with that, you go in, you try it on, then the seamstress makes adjustments, alterations, then you go back in to try it on, then she makes more adjustments, alterations, and then, after like a third or fourth try, then the thing is ready. That is just unfortunately not the case with window treatments.
Right.
And of course, that is, like you said, it is one of the cons, and we realize it is one of the fears as well.
Right, exactly. I love that. After 3 or 4 tries, they get the wedding dress right. Could you give me 4 tries to get the window treatment right? Thanks. Let's be serious. Like, what we're talking about is sometimes it has taken 4 tries, and that stinks. But we're trying to avoid that, right? We're trying to avoid that. So, but then on the good side, we have the pros of window treatments, right? We absolutely know that a room just feels so much more finished and complete once the window treatments have been installed. I mean, there's the occasions where the view, the room, it is all about the view and the windows and the architecture. But I would say probably 7 out of 10 projects, the window treatments truly are the jewelry for the room. Do you agree, Vita?
If there could be 150%, that's how much I would agree with you. And how I know? Because for the first 12 years in business, I installed every single Wednesday. Wednesday was my installation day. And on that Wednesday, I would go to, depending on the size, 1, 2, 3, 4 installations. And LuAnn, it never failed. Every single install, we put these things up and the customer walks in or the designer walks in and there's an absolute wow.
Yes.
What a difference does it make to the room? And we're always the last ones, right? After the whole thing has been, let's say the whole thing has been cleaned, the windows have been wiped, or whatever that design project calls for, window treatments are usually the last ones to go in. And it just never fails. There's always the sense of completion, the sense of now everything has come together. It's like jewelry.
Right.
On an evening gown, right? A bow on a pretty present. I can go on with other metaphors, but I probably shouldn't. The point is they truly do make a huge difference in an interior design project. And the designers, the huge part of why they got into design is to make the homes beautiful, make them more comfortable, have the whole aesthetic come together. And what a shame it is when the window treatments, for a variety of reasons that we have mentioned before, are just not part of it. And so we're here to make them part of it.
Exactly. And then let's not forget about the practical reason to include window treatments in the offerings to your clients is make more money, right? Window treatments are not inexpensive, and we've already discussed the value of them, what they add to a project, but they cost a lot of dollar bills to add that value, and they should, and they do. But you know what? There's profit to be made in it. And you have said to me before, it breaks your heart to know designers that leave money on the table by shying away from specifying window treatments for their projects. And so that's, look, it's the premise of the entire podcast as a whole is to have interior designers be more profitable and make more money. And this is a perfect way to do it.
Yeah, I mean, window treatments is probably your second, if not first, profit center in your whole project, if done right, of course, if you've avoided all of the pitfalls and mistakes and you haven't eaten anything. But truly, I mean, I don't mean to sound scary or instill any kind of fears, but the point is that if they're done right, and they can be done right day after day after day, and if that happens, if you have that system in place and the right knowledge and the right skill and the right all those other chain links in place, they can be really big money makers for you. And to my point earlier, why did you get into the business? Number one, to make beautiful homes. Number two, to make money.
Right.
And so we're here to help you do just that.
Exactly. And you know what I always say, I know you believe it too, your number one source of more income, your number one profit center is to sell more things to the same people. So we're not talking about making more money by putting ads in the paper and saying, hey, I do custom window treatments. What we're suggesting is your existing pipeline of clients that either you are at a phase in your business where you're possibly specifying window treatments, but because the confidence and knowledge level might be low, maybe you're specifying entry level or ready-made window treatments, or maybe you are already specifying custom, but you're shying away from specifying motorization in your window treatments. The point is that you take every single existing client that you have in your pipeline now, and you either sell a higher level of window treatment to them, sell window treatment to them to begin with, or sell a higher level with more complication and more customization to it, and you are going to make more money on your already existing clients. And that's the way to do it. We don't need to spend $25 on a new lead and marketing a new lead through a different lead gen source and try and build out and find a cold lead. We want to take the leads, the clients that you already have, and help you put more money in your checkbook so that you can spend things on business development and trips to Europe. I mean, like whatever, right?
Yeah, whatever rocks their boat. Yes.
Exactly.
And another quick point that I wanted to make, we're talking in the realm of what makes window treatment so great anyway. We talked about the aesthetic. We talked about them being great money makers. Those are really the big points. But there's also a couple of more nuanced points that I want to make sure that we don't overlook. And that is, well-made custom window treatments are hard to shop around. And the converse of that is the entry into the market is fairly easy.
Good point.
And so what I mean by that, thank you. What I mean by that is any interior design, anyone listening to us right now can make the decision to enter into the world of window treatments. Yes, you need to find the right partners. Yes, you need to get a little bit of knowledge, a little bit of working knowledge, but the easy entry means that you don't need to spend thousands of dollars. You don't need to spend millions of dollars on, let's say, new equipment or machinery or any kind of capital investment. That's what usually entry into the market means, right?
Right.
So yes, you need to get a little bit more educated, a little bit more confident, but the entry into the market is really up to you. And that up to you is the decision. You need to decide to do them, right?
Right.
And the reason you want to decide to do them, that other nuanced reason, is that they are hard to shop around. So if you have a situation where a master bedroom has a bay window that needs to get let's say 12 feet of operable drapery with blackout lining, with a motorized track, and it needs to clear the window by ever so many inches to give way to the beautiful view that the homeowner has from her master bedroom window. You cannot find that anywhere.
Right.
Unless you go and make it custom, right? You cannot go to a big box store. You cannot outside the industry or inside the industry. The only way for you to get it done is to go to a custom workroom to make that for you, and to custom install, and to custom measure, and to custom design. And that's why they are hard to shop around. So your client cannot really go on the internet and say, I found something just like this, because they can't.
Well, and the truth of it too is that it's not only not available, something like that, on the retail market that the client can go to. It's also actually hard to shop, even if the client were to bring in their own window treatment professional and get a quote for it. Because think about that. What is the fullness on that drapery? What is the quality of the blackout lining? What is the drapery rod that they use? Is it a hard wire? Is it a plug-in? Is it what is the face fabric on that window treatment? So there are so many variables in that one example alone that even two window treatment companies could have completely different estimates. And so that's why it's hard to shop around. It's easy to turn around and say, okay, I gave you a price of $6,000 for that drapery, Mrs. Klein, and you think you've got a price for $5,000, but how many widths did your supplier use? How many, what kind of blackout lining did your supplier use? What kind of face fabric is it? And so you can punch that right down in a heartbeat. Whereas if you say to somebody, here is, XYZ brand, I don't know, light fixture. It either is or it isn't the exact same light fixture. It either is the same price or it isn't. I mean, what variables are there? It comes in a box ready to go, and even the most expensive $25,000 chandelier, it comes in a box ready to go, right? I mean, unless it's been custom designed by an artist. But my point is that is the whole point, that even if you are going to have somebody who's going to shop you with light fixtures, if you have someone custom design you a light fixture, they can't shop it. And it's the same with window treatments. And so we really want to help you understand that, you can just start right in. The phrase is, just dip your toe in. But the reality is whether you know nothing or you know a little bit or you know a lot, depending on the first opportunity that you come up with to next suggest window treatments, it could be something that's simple, like straightforward, I need wood blinds, or it might be a complicated motorized window treatment similar to what Vita mentioned. But the fact is if you find somebody good to partner with, you can say yes to anyone and make sure and know that you can confidently, order this and get this executed for your client and make some nice money on it, right?
So, LuAnn, I'm excited.
Me too.
I'm really excited. The more we talk about this, and of course this pilot episode was more about kind of general, what is so great about window treatments anyway, but we are ready to delve into other topics, like the types of hardware and the types of motorization and the types of different window treatment styles, Roman shades being one of them. How some of the challenging windows, how do we treat those? How do we avoid some of the common mistakes? How do we work with other vendors within the industry, other workrooms, other window treatment specialists within the industry? What is the best business model to pursue within that industry? And so the more I think about it and the more we talk about this, I'm just so excited to really delve deeper into some of these topics and to ultimately educate the designers and inspire them and encourage them, whatever level that designer is at and whatever projects they have done and whatever other experiences they've had or mistakes they've made. I'm just so hopeful that we can make their experience better, ultimately, in whichever way that is. I just want to make it better.
Yeah, I agree. We're just here to help you have a little bit of your, solid feet, solid ground under your feet, demystify it a little bit for you so that you get a vocabulary. You get a little bit of a sense of the types of conversations and the types of things that you should be looking out for. And I'm going to say at one point, we're going to teach you how to write a work order for it. That's all I'm saying. A PO, not even a work order, just a PO, for crying out loud. But yeah, I'm excited.
Sounds like a real major pain point for you personally.
Try me to drink. Oh my goodness. So, but I'm so glad to be doing it with you, Vita. I think it's going to be amazing. We're going to take, step by step, like Vita mentioned, a couple of different things that we're going to be talking about on the coming episodes, everything from custom versus ready-made to specifying, the differences between ready-made rods and custom-made rods and why it matters and when it matters, because it doesn't always matter. We're going to be truthful with all that stuff too. And the one thing that we would love if you would do for us is, would you share with us questions that you may have surrounding window treatments? Because I have to say, one of the reasons why I love Vita in the last 2.5 years that I've gotten to know her is she's incredibly thorough, and she has a superpower that I do not have. She has a superpower that is someone that takes a topic, takes an idea, puts it to paper, and really thoughtfully dissects it. And so to that point, Vita has come up with 25 different window treatment topics that we can talk about.
26 now with POs.
Oh, 26. See, I came up with one. She came up with 25. Yay. But the thing is that we're flexible in that. We feel like we have a handle on what you don't know, right? But, we would love to know. And we of course, this episode will be posted on Instagram and on Facebook and LinkedIn. So please, in the comments there, share with us what are some of the challenges that you face with window treatments that you wish that we would have a little conversation around. And I'm looking forward to this series, Vita, and I'm so honored that you are doing it with me, because I don't know that I would have had the mojo and the gas to do it without you. But with you, it's a heck of a lot of fun.
Oh my gosh, LuAnn, your words, they're just way, way, way too kind. But I truly appreciate them, and I appreciate you, and I really appreciate this opportunity. And if I can use I'm super detailed and super anal and super, I always say this, I live and dream in Excel spreadsheets. So, if that's what it takes, and if we can mesh our superpowers together to bring this topic that is super needed to your audiences, then I'm very happy about that, and I'm very honored that you have chosen me to be your co-pilot.
That's it. I know it's a great choice. See, I have this, one of my big superpowers is, on the Strength Finders test where it says your top 5 things or whatever they are, my number one is self-assurance. And yes, and when you describe when they describe what self-assurance is, the way the Strength Finders is, one of the sentences says, when you make a decision, you know it and you're done. And that's how I am. And I was like, yeah, that's me. And so I know this is a good decision to do this with you. And so what I'm hoping is that it's a good decision for our designer colleagues too, that they're going to enjoy it. So we're looking forward to it. Please share with us your comments, your questions. I will include in the show notes for this episode the information and the links to Exciting Windows, the WCAA, ASID, the IWCE, International Window Covering Expo, and of course the Window Fashion Vision magazine. So that is a free subscription if you are in the industry. And so please go to the show notes and get your links for all of these resources. Okay? Thank you for joining us today, guys. We'll see you the next time. Have an excellent day. Thank you so much for joining me again today. This podcast is a production of WindowWorks, your resource for custom window treatments and awnings. To learn how we can help you on your next interior design project, go to www.windowworks-nj.com. And if you're interested in working with me on your business, either through masterminds or one-on-one coaching, or you want to know how to get my book, The Making of a Well-Designed Business, or you just want to know what's going on in the podcast land and where I'm going to be, all of that is found at LuAnn Nigara.com. Thank you so much. Have an excellent day.